What's up, guys? Ed and Kinger here. Real quick, I just want to let you guys know this is the pilot episode, so the audio wasn't that great. We tried going through Skype and it didn't really work out too well. It didn't work out the way that I had planned. It ended up being to where my audio was good throughout most of the video, but then Eric started trailing off, so we don't know if that was latency because of Skype or whatever. So the next episode, we have a different way to go about recording our audio, so the audio is going to be better. Also, just wanted to point out that Eric forgot to film his phone horizontally. He filmed it like this, so he's gonna have the black bars on the side. I tried zooming it in to kind of get rid of it as much as I could. Unfortunately, he forgot to do that. Not so much a big deal. It is the first episode, so it's gonna be trial and error, just how it goes. And then also, he started fiddling with something in the beginning, so for a while you'll hear him like kind of doing this and fiddling with something on the table. So other than that, just a couple of things I want to let you guys know about. Other than that, it's still a good episode, so I hope you guys enjoy it, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Oh, yeah. Just like that. Crack of the White Claw.
Yeah.
We're live, boy.
We live.
Live.
Let's go.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Kyle King, a.k.a. Kinger. I am joined with my best friend, Eric Height.
Eric Height, let's go.
This is the first episode of our podcast. We've never
First
done anything like
episode.
this before, so bear with us. We don't know how this is all going to go. I don't even know how the audio is going to sound. We did a couple test runs. We'll see how this goes. I got three
Going
different
great.
cameras in my face. This is crazy. I don't even know what to look at.
It's a porno.
Sip on.
White Claws and cameras is a porno, bro.
Ooh, it's getting spicy.
Yeah.
So, welcome to Let's Drink About It podcast. Me and this guy have been wanting to do this podcast for like 3 years now.
Way too long.
Definitely way too long. We were going to name it Drinks and Discussions back in the day. Our friend Jody had came up with that name for us. We were all talking about wanting to do a podcast years ago, and come to find out, since we waited so long, somebody had that name and is actually doing weekly podcasts under that name. So we decided to go with Let's Drink About It. And it looks like nobody's using it. We did look it up. Seems like one account was using it in 2018, but nobody's done anything with it since. And that was more of a That was more of a Let's Drink About It. Was more of that channel that I found was more of a like a bartending, actually making drinks podcast, I guess. I don't really know. I didn't listen to any of it, so hopefully we don't get in any trouble here. We're gonna try and just go with the Let's Drink About It name. I would like to get it trademarked eventually. So the first episode is just gonna be like, like a pilot episode, just gonna see how this goes. So bear with us. It might not be perfect, but we're gonna try and make it
worth it.
we're gonna try to make it as close to perfect as we can.
Let's go.
First episode is really just going to be us introducing ourselves and just kind of explaining, where we're from, how we know each other, that kind of stuff. As you can tell, the filming is a little bit different. Obviously, he's in a different location than I am. I currently live in Maryland. Eric lives in Michigan.
Yeah.
So it's freezing cold. You got a blizzard going on there, eh?
Yeah, we got about 2 inches right now.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I do not miss that. So a little behind the scenes knowledge here. Me and Eric have been best friends since 5th grade. I used to live in Michigan my whole life. We moved down to Florida together in 2014. And he moved back in 2016.
16, yeah.
16. I moved back in 2017. I lived with him for like almost a year. And then I moved out to Maryland for a job. So that is why we're separated. Unfortunately, we were both broke as all could be last year. Otherwise,
separated at birth.
Right, yeah, pretty much. But wanted to do this for a long time. We wish we could have did this last year, but we were broke. Didn't have the money to buy everything. Would have been nice because we lived together. We could have easily filmed a podcast, but we were so broke that we could not afford all the equipment. But now we have everything set up. It's still basic equipment, but we're gonna obviously improve as this progresses. I see this going for a long time. I've been wanting to do a podcast for a long time. I know he has. We've done YouTube for a long time. We make YouTube videos. I have a fairly decent channel going, a little over 3,000 subscribers, where I post vlogs and concert videos. Eric's trying to get more into his stuff too. He's done a lot of fitness videos is what you want to start doing.
I'm going to start, and some funny nonsense and all that other nonsense.
So he's going to try and grow his Instagram. Shout out your Instagram is what?
I don't know. What is it? I don't even know. Eric Height TV. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. See how hip I am to it, which I'm not. I don't know what camera. See, I got to fix this. So I'm looking down at Kyle. That's why I keep looking down, because we're Skyping right now. And then I got an angle that I'll play with it. next time.
This is like our pilot episode. Everybody understands, it's the first time we're doing this. It's all going to get better in time. I feel like my setup's fairly decent the way I have it. He's in his dining room. I'm actually in my room and kind of my office setting of my room. So I'm a little bit more set up here.
He has an office in his room. It's a big room.
It's not. It's barely tiny room, but I'm making it work. I'm in company housing. So eventually it would be nice, who knows what the future brings, but we might live together again or something might happen and we'll be able to have a studio or something. Who knows?
Is that a Rick and Morty sheet? Is that what that is in the background?
Oh, you can see different from what this camera can see. No, my mom bought me it's a palm trees and dogs surfing blanket that my mom, and it's like baby blue. My mom thought I would love that. And it's, it's cool because my parents live in Florida. I can't be mad. It's a really nice blanket. It's fluffy, but colors aren't exactly my cup of tea. But, as you can see, I wear like all black and everything. But nice blanket. No, it's not Rick and Morty.
I can't tell from here. But.
So obviously, with this podcast, everything's going to get a little bit more structured. We are going to have topics that we want to talk about. Me and him are going to go over everything before we start each podcast and just have a list in front of us so we know what topics we're going to hit. Right now, the podcast is like a free for all. We don't know what exactly we're going to talk about every episode. It's just going to be whatever we want to talk about. Current events, everything that's happening in the world, sports, video games, music. It's going to be endless.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we want to be able to just talk about whatever.
Yeah, we're not going to stick to one genre. Like, we're not going to just be a music podcast or a movie podcast or
video games
whatever.
Or anything. We want to be able to talk about everything. Honestly, we're both into a lot of different things. So we want to just be able to freely talk. And of course, we're going to be drinking. Eric doesn't currently have anything right now. Unfortunately, first episode, he's not drinking, but that's fine. Some episodes we're going to drink, some we're not. Let's Drink About It was just something that, we really wanted to name the podcast. So.
And I got to work at 5 a.m. and be up at 3.
We're also going to be I also need to be up
31.
So we obviously both have regular jobs. I myself, I install for a company. I'm not going to say the company name in case that may get me in trouble later on. With the way things are nowadays, people say stuff and then they end up getting fired or whatever for their views and shit like that. So we're going to not say where I work at, but I install home security systems. I am a smart home professional. Been doing that for about 3 years now. Eric?
I work for Chrysler. Yeah. Might as well say it, and I don't think I get in trouble for that.
But it's also they don't know the place that you work at, though. Too.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. Yeah, all we do is make car parts. Really boring.
It's in a factory all day. So I just go into people's houses and do all that fun stuff.
Stay in school. Do what you want to do.
Yeah. That's what we do for a living. We obviously have our own jobs that we do. So this isn't our full-time job or anything like that. YouTube's not my full-time job as much as I wish it was. Hopefully one day it will be. That would be incredible. But right now, we both have our normal 9 to 5s essentially.
5 to 5.
Yeah, for you. Yeah. Yeah.
I wish 9 to 5. Man, that's a vacation, boy.
Gotta be up at 3 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
Some shit. It's ridiculous.
And now there's going to be like 6 inches of snow. So now when I wake up at 3:30, I should go to work right after that. It takes about 20 minutes to get there. So probably 40 minutes now for when I wake up.
Right.
Because the snow sucks. We had such a good winter, and now, like, right at the end, we're going to get slammed with snow.
I'm so glad. I haven't had to deal with that at all here in Maryland. And it's the first time, other than when we lived in Florida, that I haven't had to deal with snow. It gets fairly cold here, but nothing compared to what Michigan. Michigan's a bitter cold. You walk outside, your face hurts, and you're like, why the fuck do I live somewhere where my face hurts when I walk outside? That is Michigan. Here, not so bad. So
Mother Nature's bipolar on this northern end. I'm pretty sure most of our viewers will be from Michigan, so you guys all know. Even if you're not from Michigan, you know Michigan, how it is. So
right. Starting out, our first set of viewers probably going to be a lot of our friends and stuff like that. But we're going to grow eventually. Who knows? We could reach random people too. I know, obviously, from my YouTube channel, I got people from all over the place. I got people actually at this point in different countries. So we'll see how that goes. This podcast, this first episode, we just really wanted to kind of introduce ourselves more for the people that, stumble across the channel and don't really know too much about us. And then there's a lot of people that are still friends and acquaintances of ours that really don't know us too well. You know, the only ones that know us are best friends, close friends. Just going to kind of introduce ourselves more so. Me and Eric, it's kind of funny how we met. I remember the first time I met this kid, we were playing soccer, and he had just moved from Dearborn
Heights, yeah.
Yeah. So fun fact too, I want to point this out so you guys kind of know where we're from. We're both from Gladwin. If you guys know the famous rapper NF, that is where he is from. Him and I, or well, him, me and Eric all went to high school together. He was like 2 years older than us. So that's where we're from. It's very middle of Michigan. You can show it on the map. Right in the middle. That's where we're from. So he moved from Dearborn, which is in the Detroit Metro, one of the cities in the Detroit Metro. Moved up there in what, 5th grade?
3rd grade when I was 7.
Grade. Wow. So we didn't even actually officially meet them until 5th grade. We probably knew of each other.
Probably.
Because Tate moved there. So we had a mutual friend. His name was Tate. He moved there in 5th grade, I believe. Right.
And and then he was like, yeah, you just keep going. Because then Tate ended up being like my across the street neighbor. So
yeah.
Once we met in school, I think we walked home one day and we were both going the same direction. He's like, hey, I live here. I'm like, no way. I live right here across the street. How convenient. Now we're friends.
Right. That's awesome. So I think it was like maybe that summer before school started, before 5th grade, I think me and Eric were playing on a soccer team. Eric was on an opposing team. And I remember this kid, we were running for the ball. I remember you like checked your shoulder into me or something. And this is something that's been a quality of Eric. I've just now realized his whole life.
Oh, gosh.
Is he checked me with his shoulder a little bit while we were running for the ball. And I just look over and here's this kid just smirking at me. Just smirking at me because he knows and he knew he was faster than me too. He was going to get to the ball and everything like that. And just, messing with each other. And at first I was like, this motherfucker,
Little a-hole from the beginning. See, I don't remember that.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? That's like our first encounter of our life, and now we've been best friends ever since. But it just so happened, I ended up becoming friends with Tate too. And then he's like, hey, you want to meet my friend Eric? He lives right across the street. I'm like, well, yeah. So end up meeting him. I'm like, oh, shit. We used to play soccer together. So that was cool. And then we've all been best friends ever since, And
a fun fact about Kyle, when I first met him, I think I just got over to Tate's house and we were outside and Kyle pulls up. I remember green Intrepid. I think your dad dropped you off.
Yeah.
Kyle is somebody who would pack everything, like his whole room. I don't know what we had, if we even had Xbox or Nintendo. And I'm like,
any game console we had, I brought over to Tate's.
Right. And I'm like thinking, who is this? He's bringing so much. So he's like, yeah, this is Kyle King. He's in our grade. I said, really? I don't think I ever seen him before. I don't remember ever seeing Kyle in school until until that day, and then I don't know. It's weird how that works.
We're in the same grade, everything, so it's just weird. And we didn't come from a big school, or Gladwin's a very, very small town. It's really a retirement community for the most part. It's a lot of farmland. There's Amish people there, that kind of stuff. So that tells you something.
We're the home of the viral Amish people.
Yes.
If anyone's seen that before, I almost said the 4 horsemen, but the four Amish.
Shit.
Yeah. Yeah, drunk on the Amish buggy. Yeah, that's wild.
That is where we were from. It's funny that Amish people put our city on the map other than NF.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, man. So that's how we met. Been best friends ever since. Shit, man. We've done everything together. Like I said, we moved together in 2014. Me, my parents, my grandpa, and him all moved. Our buddy Mike had moved, a couple months, like that summer. He had moved down there and lived with Jeff for a while.
Yeah, you guys, I'm trying to think, when you guys went down the first time, did he move with Jeff during that time, or did he move back?
So, no.
There's a story behind this.
There's a story behind that, yeah. So before we moved together in 2014, me, Mike, and our friend Jake tried, and Eric was going to move, but he had fallen and broke your wrist.
Yeah, I screwed up my wrist, or I don't remember my thumb.
Something that held him up from moving.
Because I couldn't work with it. Like if I need to get a job, obviously, and I couldn't work with it.
Yeah, so we were like, okay, well, wait, we'll establish, a house and everything, and he can move in later. So, lost my train of thought here. So me, Jake, and Mike, we moved down to Florida in 2013. That summer. I moved down with $1,000 in my pocket. I think we tried, long story short, we failed. We were there for maybe a month and a half, and Jake and Mike decided to head home. I was going to go live with a couple of our other buddies in Hollywood, Florida, complete opposite side of where we were. We were on the Gulf side by like Palm Harbor area, Clearwater. I had moved to Hollywood for like 2 days. I said I knew I wasn't going to make it where my living situation was, and everything was just too too rocky. So I moved back. And then we all started talking about it. My parents started talking about wanting to move. We knew my grandpa wanted to get out of the cold and all that too. And I asked Eric, I was like, hey man, Mike's moving too. Mike moved a couple months before us and moved back down there. One of the guys I went down with originally, our other mutual best friend. So he moved down, and then we're like, well, I mean, if we move down, everybody's going to be in the same general area. Might as well do that. And then we end up meeting this kid, Logan, who I worked with at Jimmy John's. His parents own the place. Come to find out, Logan is a little younger than we are, and used to live in Gladwin. Out of all places,
crazy.
I struggled so long to find a job when I was in Florida. And out of all places, I work at this random Jimmy John's in Safety Harbor, and the owners and the kid used to live in Gladwin at one point. Then we all became best friends because of that. At first when we moved down, me and Eric lived in an apartment together with my grandfather. And then after that lease was up, me and my grandpa were going to get a house, and Eric wanted to move in with Mike because Mike ended up moving down to the same area that we were living in. So
it all got crazy.
And Logan's lease was up too at the time. Yeah. So they all move in together. Like it was just crazy how that worked. That was
it was a lot.
Interesting time.
Such a good time though. I would definitely if I could retract and just relive it, and then it was a good time. It was really good.
It was.
It's cool how you connect, even though out of all the states and just everywhere, we go 19 hours away and we meet someone from our hometown that we've never seen before. We might have ran into him at the store, but he was young. I think he was 7th grade when he moved.
Yeah. It just goes to show how multiple times this has happened in my life where it just shows the universe works in weird ways. And I really do believe that people are meant to cross paths in life.
Oh, yeah.
Your story is kind of written out. I really do believe that, because think about that. Out of all places I could have gotten a job when we first moved, it was this Jimmy John's where the owner's son and the owners were from the same small. When I tell you this town is small, Gladwin is very, very small. He's from the same area that we're from, and we just moved there. Out of all places I could have got a job, it was that place. And then we're all still best friends to this day. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me. That still boggles my mind.
And I worked at a restaurant, Frenchie's. It was right on the beach, and we had a new server. We were kind of talking, and my ex actually asked, how do you know this girl? And I said, she's a new girl at work. She's like, she used to work with my sister up here in Michigan, but we worked together. She just came, out of all the places to apply, she applied to my job and was working with me. It's that's so wild. That's so
There's
crazy.
There's a lot of people
that works
that live in Michigan, or that were from Michigan that now live in Florida.
There were 7
people all the time.
There's an older lady.
Go ahead.
There's an older lady I met at the bar, and I was a busser at the time. I wasn't a food runner, so I was just standing around waiting for tables. And how the bar and where I was standing, she's just sitting there. She's like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, I'm good. She asked where I'm from. And I said, well, I'm from Michigan. I'm in this little town you probably never heard of it, Gladwin. She's like, I lived in Gladwin for 30 years. That is crazy. What are the odds of just 2 people just bam? I don't know. It's wild to think. And I know that happens to everybody, but just the scale of Florida from Gladwin, not just Michigan. Michigan,
it's a culture shock.
I used to live in Michigan, but when you say the exact same town, that's wild.
Yeah.
It's really wild.
And we moved to Clearwater Beach, which is there's over 1 million people in Pinellas County, let alone. And we moved from a town that had maybe 10,000 people, maybe. I don't even know what the real number is. Not that many people, let's be honest. So it was definitely a culture shock for a while, but we still, for months and months after, even years after living there, we were like, we can't believe we live here, because we just grew up in such a different area. So it was a really fun time, So Eric, I'm sure you want to explain why you moved back, and then I'll explain why I moved back.
I had a baby, so I kind of,
Well, this shows, like I said, this podcast, this first episode, so you guys get to know us a little bit. So
I definitely plan on staying down there and everything, yada yada. But I had a baby, so the smartest decision was to move back, because down there we didn't have family, or we didn't even have that. I had Kyle. And Mike's a whole different situation, but he ended up having to come back, so I would have been with Kyle Logan. Yeah. But then I would have had a kid, and we didn't have family down there, so it would have been.
And also his girlfriend at the time, who is one of our well, obviously you guys are baby mama, baby daddy. She's one of my best friends. We were all best friends for years and years and years, and she's still a good friend of mine. She lived in Michigan at the time. She was on vacation when she came down and they were dating. So that's why also, you know, he had to move back, was because she lived in Michigan.
Yeah.
So then shortly after that, actually it would have been the following year, but April, I got a job working for, I can say this company because I don't work for them anymore and they can go fuck themselves. Vivint Smart Home is who I used to work for. That's how I got into the home security industry. And that got me to move up to Minneapolis at first, then Indianapolis. And then I was actually going to get sent home with no job because the company was just not putting out as much work as they should have been. So then I moved to Michigan because we had just signed with Best Buy, and Detroit was one of the test groups along with San Antonio, Texas. So I moved back there and started being, you know, one of the Best Buy technicians and working in that area. And then I lived there ever since. Got an apartment with a couple of my buddies, both the Tylers that we know and we're both friends with. Had about a year lease, and then after that was up, I hit up Eric and I was like, hey man, he had bought a house. Him and, you know, his ex had bought a house in a city called Almont, which is almost another version of Gladwin.
That's the exact same, I swear.
It's about 30 minutes north of the northern part of the Detroit metro, like Sterling Heights, Utica area, if you're familiar with that area. And I moved out there and lived in this house for about a year, and God, we went through some fucking fun times there, man. Me and Eric, one thing we've definitely shared throughout our best friendship is we both have the worst luck in the entire world.
Oh my God.
And when we are combined, it doubles tenfold. So we went through a lot of hardships, but I really think, you know, the fact that we were both, you know, hanging out with each other and living together is how we got through that time.
Yeah, that mental insanity, man, our luck, man, it's not like, if you want to know, starting from the bottom, we start at the bottom and we just we try to make it to the top, and it just knocked us back to the ground. It's
Always.
Like, oh my goodness, this is
always
like every day. And we can kind of tell, like, we're best friends. You can kind of tell when we're just like walking around the house, not really saying anything, not being cheerful. It's just like, I understand not giving up, and we aren't people that give up, but when you're constantly getting slammed with bad news, this is wrong, that's wrong, oh my gosh, it's like, when does it end?
Last year was a very, very tough year. That is for sure. We went through a lot of shit. I also lost my grandfather in April. He was like my rock, man. You know, he moved down with us, you know, helped us survive really in Florida at first. You know, he helped us pay a lot of the bills and stuff. And, you know, he had always been there for me, and that was really tough. And then you know, our jobs sucked. We were just miserable all the time. But so I really think, you know, us being best friends and just knowing each other so well really got each other through those hard times. We helped each other financially as much as we could. We got set back a couple times and had to work it all out, but we still came out on top, man. We still got through that time in our life. So we've done that a lot. But the main reason we had moved to Florida was to really pursue YouTube. And we really wanted to be, at first we wanted to be big YouTube pranksters, because that was big at the time back in 2014 when we moved. You know, FouseyTube, Vitaly, Roman Atwood, they were all huge on, and Jug Squad were all huge on YouTube at the time. Big pranksters, and me and him have always been pulling pranks on each other, our friends, all that stuff. That's what it is. It's something that we always wanted to do. So, you know, we did that. And then of course, you know, Eric ends up having a kid that kind of set things back, which ended up being a blessing. You know, we're very happy to have Julian here. That's his son. Great kid. Glad he's here.
And another thing, you know,
just changed up your lives.
When we were in Florida, like, it was different times. Like, we were still young, so we didn't really we both did a little bit of college. I'll just say a little bit, but
yeah,
we were trying to like Kyle said, we're trying to do YouTube, we're trying to have fun. We never lived anywhere out of state, like it was literally a time of finding ourselves. And with the YouTube thing, like, we really didn't pursue it it's hard to explain.
We weren't financially set to pursue something like that because we were, you know, we moved to Florida, which is, it's obviously more expensive than where we were living in Michigan. So we had to financially settle down there and then, you know, build up that structure, get a little money in our bank accounts, and then try to make YouTube videos, but also try to meet people and, you know, meet new friends, make new friends, go out, have a life. So it was a lot to juggle at first, you know, and culture shock, all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, it was tough. and we kind of got set back when we moved back, and it's always been, it's kind of hard, and I guess we don't want to sound like we're bitching or not, because we're not, but it's been rough. Like, we've been trying to pursue things for a long time, and now that we're doing the podcast, it feels really good. I feel great actually right now doing this, because it's like, holy shit, we're this is something we've wanted to do for a long time. And you look back at, like I said, the year that we had last year, you'd never think we'd get out of that. We were both extremely depressed and just going through a rough time, and now we're here. It's finally happening. We're doing something that we really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And we're still pursuing YouTube. Now we're doing the TikTok stuff, because that's big now. We've always been trying to. He's not doing TikTok. I always like to create, and I think with the podcast we have such a free range to do whatever we want, I think it's going to be awesome.
It's limitless. We can do.
It really is. It really is. Eventually, obviously it's the first episode, so bear with us as time progresses. We get more fans, stuff like that.
Yeah, this will be a boring stuff that's
gonna. Oh no, I think this is pretty interesting so far. I would
yeah, because it's yourself. That's why.
Right.
No, I'm just messing around.
Eventually we'll have merch, and we're going to do a Patreon where we're going to have extra content, stuff like that. Do the typical stuff that every podcast really does. We're going to be, obviously, while we're recording, we're going to be live on YouTube as well. We have our YouTube channel. We're going to be on, what else? Spotify, Pornhub.
My OnlyFans, or OnlyFans. My fans, what is it called? What is it called? My OnlyFans?
No, OnlyFans. OnlyFans.
We'll be on there too.
We'll be everywhere you can listen to podcasts, and obviously your video will be on YouTube. So it sounds like I'm ending the episode, but I want to keep going for a little bit. We're only at about a 30-minute mark, so we wanted to film for about 30 to 45 minutes for the first episode, because I still got to edit it all, plus do my job as well. So we are going to try to do this weekly. We're going to try to, even some weeks we'll film like 2 to 3 episodes, just so we can make sure that we're coming out with weekly episodes. So bear with us. Sometimes we might miss a week or two. We're still, if this was my full-time job, it'd be out. We could do 2 episodes a week if we wanted to, but I work currently about 50, 60 hours or more a week, and Eric works quite a bit as well, Well, plus he has a kid that he has to take care of. When he's not working, he's taking care of his son. So
24/7.
Yeah. So we're definitely going to try to do this weekly, though. This is something that's more easy to manage, I feel, than trying to come up with new ideas for YouTube and make YouTube videos like we had been doing for past couple years. So this, we can sit down, turn the mics on, and get the claps in so I can link the audio in that.
Do I have to clap again?
No, as long as you're still recording your phone. Okay,
yeah.
Good. So my DSLR shuts off after about 30 minutes. So that's something that I'm just going to have to work around. But yeah, so I guess we can, for the next couple minutes, just kind of roll into some of the stuff that we're interested in. We both really like video games. So I'm sure some of the stuff we'll talk about from time to time will be our love for video games and the new games that come out and stuff like that. Right now, yeah. Pretty much.
That's what it comes down to.
Right. Right now we both currently game on Xbox. I do own all the other ones because I am a big gamer. I have like all the shit because it's just something that I love to do.
Yeah, look at his headphones.
Got my ass
serious. And he still can't hear anything on Call of Duty. Kylie's here left.
I can't hear anything.
Shit.
Quit talking.
So we like to game right now. We've been playing a lot of Call of Duty, of course. Been big Call of Duty guys for a long time. I think that's really all Eric plays for the most part. You like Skyrim and Minecraft and what else?
In my game, I will sit and play Minecraft. I don't care.
Right, for sure.
Especially when you get home after like a terrible day at work, you get to Call of Duty and you're just getting your ass clapped. It's like, no, this isn't a de-stressor. Like, I want to go Call of Duty and kill people. I don't want to get killed and then no.
Right. So
Minecraft, and you put a block here, a block there, make a little house, make a little bridge, kill a pig.
It's all peaceful, and of course, at nighttime you got the little skeletons and shit coming at you, but
Then a creeper blows up and kills you, and then you're re-pissed.
Yeah. Then you rage.
Yeah.
Every game's just meant to piss you off these days.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what he plays. I play everything, so I'm sure eventually one of the things we'll do in the future is obviously have times where we might play with fans of the podcast and just have them, join our lobbies and hang out, do that kind of stuff. Like to do live streams every now and then too. I feel like once the podcast gets to where we got to on YouTube, you got to hit I think it's 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours watched time. It's pretty hefty to do, but as long as we do that, then we could do live streaming on YouTube. We have our Instagram account that we'll probably live stream from as well. That kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean,
it's limitless.
Pretty much. Trying to think of like what else.
What's our first topic gonna be, Kyle? I'm putting you on the spot. What do we got?
I mean, honestly, even though it's a little bit past, one of the things I did want to scoot my chair up here a little bit. One of the things I did want to talk about was the Jake Paul fight, because we're obviously into YouTube. YouTube's obviously another huge thing that we're both interested in. I watch more people than he does, but he still tries to keep up with like the main events that are going on. Typically, it's the stuff to deal with the Paul brothers, and David Dobrik is big right now. You know,
I talked to that guy.
How is that guy? But yeah, actually, speaking of Jake Paul and Joe Weller are on right now on my YouTube.
Oh my gosh, that was a joke.
I don't even have it muted, but yeah. So that I think was one of the things I'd like to talk about. So that's something you guys have to look forward to on the next episode. I want to talk about that. Obviously, since it passed, like, you know, we didn't have the podcast at the time, so we're gonna be a little late talking about it. Excuse me. That's the only downfall of like drinking while we're gonna do podcasts. So we're gonna be burping and shit. But you know what you guys got yourselves into watching a drinking podcast. So that was that, and then I think we'd probably touch base a little bit on Kobe. Just a little. Those are a couple little sneak peek things. We're obviously gonna have like a list of stuff. Like I said before, we're gonna go over before we start the podcast and just kind of go down the list and just see where things go. You know, like we just really want this to be as open as possible.
Yeah.
And just see where it goes.
Open. We're gonna bust it wide open.
Wide open.
That's what we're gonna do.
Another thing we're both into is music. So Eric is kind of fallen off this path a little bit throughout his time.
Oh, here we go.
But we're really big into Machine Gun Kelly and EST. So a lot of our friends from that community. He's full of shit. He trolls a lot. He's a big MGK fan. Don't let him. So that was actually one of the ways we made a lot of friends in Florida when we moved down there, was running into Rachel and all them at our first MGK show down there, first one in Florida. So that was really cool.
Don't do it.
We're a cult.
It's a cult.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
So, also with that being said too, a lot of our friends that are into that, I have a big group of friends that I go to a lot of the shows with. We go to EST Fest every year, Double Xmas, all that stuff. I would like to eventually incorporate guests onto the podcast as well. I know a lot of our friends want to be on the podcast. A lot of our friends have really different backgrounds, different interests, stuff like that. They're interesting people. One of our buddies, Logan, who we had talked about before, that lives in Florida, he's a firefighter. He's about to be a paramedic as well. So I think it'd be cool to have him on and talk about, you know, what he's gone through the past couple of years becoming a firefighter and some of the stories he has, and just little, you know, segments where we have the guests come in and we'll bullshit about everything else and keep it like same as like our podcast. We want to be able to talk about whatever, but whatever pertains to that person. So it kind of makes it interesting. And there's like a little bit of a longer segment, set topic for that person. We have a lot of hilarious friends. I'd love to have TP on here. He's absolutely hilarious. I already talked to Justin Greenlick. He wanted to be on as well. A bunch of my friends in EST. So it'll be really cool. Obviously, Josh will be on an episode.
EST over everything.
Hell yeah. You're such a troll. I hate you.
Brotherhood double X. Gang.
Dang. So yeah, I mean, you know, that's something else we like to do, is go to concerts. If you guys, like I talked about before, my YouTube channel that's fairly successful right now was concerts. I film concerts. We went to see NF a couple times already. Obviously, it's a friend of ours. Want to support him. Seen MGK like almost 30 times. I travel a lot for him, so that's something that I personally like to do, is travel and go to shows.
Well, you basically have a career off of it, because a lot of people look forward to your videos. So I mean, it's not like. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not like you're just
crazy.
Doing it for
past few months. A lot of people are like, dude, you don't realize how much that like actually means to us, because there's a lot of people that, you know, are from overseas and can't make it to, especially MGK. A big part of my fan base is MGK fans. And they're like, dude, like everybody knows me as Kinger now. And like, you know, they know, like, I bet Kinger was at that show. I bet he uploaded a video for it. Sure enough, they come to my channel and they're like, dude, you're the GOAT. Like, it's just, it feels good, because it's like, I just can't imagine not being able to go and see the best performer, I feel, of our generation perform and do what he does. It's an incredible show. So if you never, side note, fuck off. He's trolling.
No, I will. That's a legit argument.
Well, okay. NF is up there too.
No, he's great.
Well, yeah, we do. We love Chris Brown as well too. So
you listen to Chris Brown, you don't have to do a blood sacrifice like MGK.
Yeah, exactly.
You can just listen to his music. You don't have to like.
Oh wait, no, you said you don't have to. I thought you said you did have to.
No, you don't. MGK, you have to put double X's on your hand with blood, and you high five the next guy, and then
and then it's
like it's like the coronavirus. It just spreads. It's just everywhere. It's a cult, man. I'm telling you.
It is.
You can even do the double X's and pat someone on the back of your EST now, fam. It's over.
You have no choice.
Gang.
So, yeah, I mean, that, I just kind of wanted to introduce ourselves. I feel like we could probably start wrapping it up. We're getting to about 40 minutes or so. So I got to still be able to edit and all that stuff. It's already about 10 o'clock. So I feel like this would be a good time to wrap it up. It's going to be difficult to get used to this and try and figure out. Huh?
I said, good thing about the pilot episode, we get to fly after this, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, exactly. You already know. Half the shit that comes out of your mouth, I don't even know anymore.
I don't either. Never did.
All the years of trolling too much there, guy.
That's right. It's in my blood. It's natural. It's a natural phenom.
Right. Well, if you guys made it this far into the episode, we really appreciate you guys for listening. Thank you for checking out our first episode. If you are just listening to it on any of the platforms where you can just listen to podcasts, appreciate that. Sam. But if you're watching as well on YouTube, we really appreciate that. If you have the time to do that instead of just throwing in some headphones and listening on an app, if you could watch it on YouTube, we'd really appreciate that, because that, takes a lot of effort, quite honestly, especially with having to go to separate camera angles. It's going to be a lot of editing on my part, so I'd appreciate it if you guys would go to YouTube and check that out. If anything, you can't watch it all the time, not a problem. Obviously, there's a lot of content to consume out there. But if you could subscribe, we'd really appreciate it. All the links, I would assume, keep in mind, first time us doing a podcast, I don't know how all this works as far as uploading all this stuff to the podcast platforms, but I would assume I would have a description to be able to link everything to it. So all the links will be in every description on every platform. Follow our social media accounts as well. I'm going to have our separate links for our own personal social medias in the description. And then I'm going to also have, all of our Let's Drink About It podcast links in the description as well. Again, thank you guys for listening.
We'll follow back.
For sure. Definitely. So again, thank you guys for listening, watching. We really appreciate it. I hope you guys will stick around and see what this podcast has to offer in the future.
Yeah. A lot of fun, a lot of drinks.
A lot of drinks.
A lot of nonsense. It's going to be a
lot
of nonsense.
Make sure he gets all his drinks so he can actually do that.
H2O lit.
All right. Awesome. Well, you guys take care, and we will see you in the next episode.
Peace.
Yay!